Welcome to Love Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Love Lattes. Victoria Eisenhower here, and I'm so excited for you to be tuning into this episode. I have a very special guest that I have personally got to work alongside her journey and mission, which you're going to learn about today. I'd like for everyone to welcome Meegana to Love Lattes. Meegana is the founder of FXPG Pride for the LGBTQIA+ nonprofit, and also the owner of Wild Routes, which is a hiking and backpacking in Virginia. Meegana is also a lover of the outdoors and is continuously giving back to the community. Welcome, Meegana.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here because, again, I had the amazing opportunity to work with you for a few years. And then once I moved to the city, I was like, okay, I gotta move some things around. But anyway, can you share with our listeners what the FXPG, I have to really think about the letters because I want to say P. Let's talk about Fredericksburg Pride.
Yeah. So Fredericksburg Pride is a nonprofit that the idea started in before 2020. I was leading LGBTQIA+ events in the community. I took over a meetup and started a Facebook and was just trying to get the queer community together and find support for each other. And in 2020, co-hosted, Fredericksburg's first Pride Festival in downtown Fredericksburg at her camp park. And it was COVID, and there was we'd had no idea we were going to get this many people. It was over 500 people. And from there, people wanted to give the LGBTQ plus group money, but because we weren't a nonprofit, I wasn't comfortable taking in anything at the time. So from there, I started forming the idea of the nonprofit and what does the community need. And so in 2021, officially formed the NPO with the intent of forming a safe and welcoming LGBTQIA+ community, giving education back when and where needed, and not just for the community, but also for other minority communities as well. And so we've worked alongside with a lot of minority-owned businesses for the Fredericksburg Pride Festival, and it's grown significantly from 20 vendors in year one before it was even an NPO to over 150 vendors within 5 years, and from 500 attendees to up to 6,000 attendees. And really the intent is just to give the community resources and bring the community together and share this experience with each other, that we're not alone, we're going through this together. And I think one of the fun things about the nonprofit is that it's all done with love, and it's all done 100% volunteer, and it always has been. And, working alongside not just business owners, but other nonprofits and organizations in the community, and just forming a sense of safety and welcomeness. And it's been a real fun journey to see the growth in Fredericksburg itself. We were the first nonprofit to get pride flags up in downtown Fredericksburg ever. And now they're up every single year in June. And it's just, you can visibly see the support that is now in the area. And don't get me wrong, there's always been some, but it's bigger now, and the community's grown. And really saying we're here, and it's been a cool thing to see.
Amazing. And it definitely has. I remember going to the first Pride Festival right after COVID, and I've never seen so many people in my life. And then just seeing it get bigger and bigger as the years go on has just been extraordinary. Why
Yeah, it's been a cool thing to see. Sorry.
you you're fine. You said a lot of very like hot words, especially with the word safety and community. Why do you think it's very important to have that when it comes to forming the nonprofit?
Well, regardless of wherever you're at, there's always going to be people that don't believe your community should exist or doesn't want to support your community and wants to bring you down. And that doesn't just happen to be with the queer community, that happens to be with many types of communities out there. So forming a sense of safety and groups that will support each other and bring each other up and sharing this place has been super support, this business has been super supportive of us. Please go show love to them. Or this business, Riverview Books, for example, saw one of our pride flags fall down because of a big storm last year, and they held on to that flag instead of, throwing it away. And when we came by one day, randomly, they were like, "Hey, we've got your flag. Just wanted you to see that we've got it." And it's been in the front of of River Beef for ever how long it took for us to pop by just to say hi. And it's it's just when you feel safe, you feel secure, you feel like you can be yourself. And I think that's been something that even myself, I've struggled with for a long time coming out later in life, not realizing that the support was here and it's been here. But I was just scared to be myself, and feels good now. Sometimes, I still struggle with imposter syndrome, but I know that I'm queer and I know I've always been. I just didn't realize that we had this community here prior to the nonprofit.
And would you say so? You just mentioned earlier that it was a little difficult and struggling with imposter syndrome and navigating this identity for yourself. Would you say like the community we have now really helped with that?
Absolutely. I think that if it wasn't for the growing community here, and being in a leadership position, I myself would probably still be struggling, feeling like maybe I didn't have a place and I didn't have, uh, friends I could go to, because that's where I've met all of my friends, is through the LGBTQ plus groups in our area, not just our nonprofit, but other nonprofits. And I think that that's been where I have felt my most true, to myself, and finding other people like me, a cisgender woman who is attracted to all genders. And as somebody that is, I'm currently dating a man, and he is so lovely. But with that, sometimes you get imposter syndrome being in a leadership position of a queer community, but knowing that it doesn't matter. You don't have to be dating a woman or have to be polyamorous or, non-binary, to be valid. And all of those things are valid in the community, but it is still something that I struggle with sometimes.
And for anyone listening who's new to this and maybe they're still trying to understand their own, can you define what queer means?
Queer can mean a few different things to different people. So some people use the term queer for questioning. Some people use it as an umbrella term for the LGBTQIA plus community. And for me, queer is more of the umbrella term of our community. I identify as queer. I belong to the queer community. I belong to the LGBTQIA plus community. And I'm very proud to be a part of that community.
Beautiful. And when you mentioned speaking or stepping into this lead role, what really was the passion or the fire that got you started there?
Not um, not seeing support groups specified to the general queer community at the time. I wanted to see more support, more community, and I wanted people to know that they weren't alone. And from the nonprofit, it's been really cool to host events. Like I said, I don't identify as like non-binary, for example, but being able to host a non-binary event for the community and seeing how big just that specific group in our community is. And that's not even everybody that even knew about the event. It was just a general group of people who showed up who identify as such or supporting people as such. Um, it's yeah, it's been amazing to see. I really just wanted to see the support, and somebody had to do it. Somebody had to step up, and I saw an opportunity to give back, and that's, I think, been the most rewarding thing.
I love it. It's been really cool. Like it's been very powerful to be in your presence when you're speaking at like the Pride festivals. And I think I remember seeing you the first time. This is before I joined the nonprofit. I was like, wow, she's like fired up and like I want to be just as excited and just as like empowered as you are. And it was such a great moment. And now that I got to I had the opportunity to work alongside you and
Yeah, and be behind the scenes.
yeah. It's a lot of work, everybody. There's work. But it's worth it. It's so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And what would you say? Because now I saw the other day you guys have the next Pride Festival lined up. What is the theme for this year?
This year, the theme is You Belong Here, supporting resilience and community and unity with an emphasis on the T, being our current political climate, wanting to share extra support for our transgender community in the area, and just show that, we're not going anywhere, and we're here to support all of our community, regardless of what the current political climate sees and what even some of our local community sees. And it's the overall is that yeah, you belong here, we all belong here, we're not going anywhere, and hopefully people reside with that.
And for people who are tuning in who want to become more involved or even start this in their own communities, what would you recommend from like your personal experiences?
um find find your people, don't do it alone. That if you want to start something from nothing, it may feel very lonely at first, but you just need to know that getting the word out there is the biggest thing, and finding your community partners. Maybe even reach out to your library, see if they've already got community groups going on that you can feed off of. But don't do it alone, and then find other people that have some experience. They don't have to have done the same thing or even started a nonprofit, but finding people that are passionate and want to see growth and want to see support. Those are the things that really assisted me. And I think that those are some key elements to starting really any sort of organization or nonprofit, regardless of what your passion is.
Yeah. And I do want to circle back to the theme this year because I think you make an excellent point. Like I know as soon as right before we got on the call, we were checking in with each other and it was like, where did March go?
Mhm.
March was so like there was a lot of things happening in this area, this environment, and as you say, the in the realm of politics, it's been very difficult navigating these challenges.
Mhm.
So I'm very excited about the theme you guys have going on for the festival.
Thank
Well,
you. The theme has always like been something that's going on in the community. The theme has always been something that, what does the community need right now? It's not what's going to benefit the nonprofit, it's what's going to benefit the community. So it's really cool to see what people have come up with. And the theme typically comes from the community directly. We put a call out and ask, what do you think that the theme should be this year? And we take a collaborative effort with the board. from what people have said and sort of merge people's ideas into the theme. And it was, I think, probably 4 or 5 different specific answers that we got of the like over 100 that we chose to try to collaborate with and form into this year's theme. Yeah.
That's so exciting. I need to snag the save the date so I can pop in there.
Yeah, June 28th, always the last Saturday of June. And we'll have the Pride March in the morning running into the Pride Festival. We're going to give people 2 hours time difference this year afterwards to sort of recoup, maybe go get some food or cool down, and then have the after party from 6 to 11 in Market Square.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I thoroughly enjoyed those. Yeah.
The after party is just a great cool down. And then for those, with all that pent up energy from the month that, to get it out and dance it out. It's a free event, free attendance for the March Festival and after party. Just a side note to anybody that's listening and does want to attend, if you do attend the after party, 9 to 11 is 18 and plus only. It always has been, sort of a change in music. So that the family-friendly portion is ending at 9, and for those adults that want to be around other 18 plus community, that'll be available at that time.
And speaking about our community, and maybe this is something if you want to share some of your experience as well, being that, pride or, pride mixed with politics. I know a lot of folks are feeling like scared, and it's, there's a lot of fear, and that's what they're trying. What would you recommend when it comes to navigating these unknowns and this pressure? And
That's a really good question, because with most nonprofits, unless you formed as part of a political entity of some kind, you have to stay apolitical. However, we can share that continuing to find your support in your people doesn't mean that we can't show our support. It's been tough. Today is Transgender Day of Visibility, TDEV, and it's a day of supporting our transgender family and showing how far they've come and all the struggles that they still continue to go through. And it's a really big day, not just in general, yearly, but also right now with our political climate. And we having a fundraiser, and Mason Dixon, thank you, Mason Dixon, for always supporting our community. And so our community is going to get together. They're going to go for a walk prior to the event, and then go to the restaurant, to eat, pending harsh weather. But I think that it can be really hard right now because a lot of people want to hermit and stay inside, and that's sometimes the easiest thing to do. And if that's all you can do, then that's enough. But if you have the energy to do more, and you have the energy to show your support, vocalize your support, not just online, but also in person when it can be harder to put yourself out there. I think that showing your support for your community and your friends and your family that are going through a hard time right now is the biggest, sort of the biggest thing that we can do at the moment. Fight for what you believe in. If you can attend a march or a protest, go do that. If you can't, what else can you do, to support that march or protest? Maybe you can make some posters for them, or donate to a cause. Volunteering your time is super easy. Liking, a post on social media, or watching a post fully on social media for a nonprofit can enhance how far that social media post goes. So doing things like that, it doesn't always take money, and it doesn't always mean that you have to be physically there in person. There's a lot of things you can do behind the scenes and in the background to support people and nonprofits and communities and organizations that are doing good for the community. So hopefully, if you have the energy to do so, you are doing that. And if you don't, just know that you have the support out there. And there is a group out there or a community out there that is waiting for you and loving you and just wants you to know that we see you. Oh my God, I'm getting emotional. Um, but it's, we're here for you. We have not just Fredericksburg Pride, but Fajas in the area has their own programming. And there's just a lot of people fighting for what we believe in. And hopefully, we can get past this together. It's going to take time. It's going to be one day at a time. And it's a slow process, but just continue to show your support when and where you can. And if you're one of those people that need that support, reach out when you have the ability to do so.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
And I appreciate your vulnerability. That was beautiful. And
Thanks. I'm so, like emotional. The mic didn't think I was going to get emotional today.
it's okay. It's okay. It's a beautiful thing. And like what you've created and what you continue to show up for has just it's been a amazing process. As you said, you're starting to see the shifts and the real impacts by taking it day by day with a nonprofit and even outside of the nonprofit, so that the communities do feel more like they feel safe and they have that. You give them the resilience, like you're giving them the tools that they can, start on their own, or they can find these groups that are open, safe, and accepting for as they are.
Mhm. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying. And if we can't share or we don't have the support, we're trying to share other resources as well. So hopefully people are finding that when and where needed.
Yeah. And for everyone listening, and you're like, I don't really know what a Fredericksburg is. This is not the Fredericksburg in Texas. This is the Fredericksburg in Virginia. And it is a small, adorable town. But even though it's a small town, it still is creating very big impacts. This is a very big thing for our community. And I think even at a young age, I remember it always being like a very like central historic town, but now I find that when I go there, it's way more open and freeing, and it's playful, it's safe, it's colorful, and you can find the businesses that are in full support and welcoming for
Mhm.
these communities.
Yeah, we have, just downtown, Curitiba hosts Fajas monthly event. Curitiba Nights, a queer event for the community on First Friday. They also host their Friday event coffees. Original Grinds Coffee used to be in a location of Katora, if you're familiar with that, but if you're not, Original Grinds still has our sticker up, our FXBG Pride sticker you can see on their door. As soon as you walk in, they're a big supporter of the queer community. Um, they're out there, and a lot of people uh, don't go downtown because of past feelings, and hopefully they see the change. Hopefully they see that, if they were there 5 years ago, it's different. It's more vocalized now, the support.
And with the support in communities in mind, you just said something where about people feeling how they feel about the past compared to now. What do you think is important for small towns or even big ones when it comes to creating these safe and accepting environments for the LGBTQ community?
I'd like to share that we're not the first Fredericksburg Pride. There was one prior to us, roughly, I would say 15 years prior. They attempted, they hosted, yearly events, but it dissolved. And I think that just goes to show that the support has been here. And in a small town like ours, when I first moved back and, uh, um, over 10 years ago, it didn't feel like it was here because moving back and trying to find a community, in somewhere that felt at the time like a very Republican town. But that was simply because I just didn't have my people. Um, your town can be so small and feel so lonely if you don't know where your people are. And that's the biggest thing. Go to Meetup, meetup.com if you're not using Facebook or Instagram at the moment, or go to Blue Sky or Eventbrite and look for that event. If your community doesn't have that event or queer support, look for your surrounding community or your surrounding region and see if it's close by, if it's not just in your town, because maybe it just hasn't started yet. Maybe you need to be that person. And it doesn't take, if you have the energy, it doesn't take a lot to just host a queer dinner to get the community together to say, hey, what else does the community need? Is anybody else willing to step up? Because this is all I can do. Is anybody else willing to do more? And sometimes you'll be surprised who else is out there and wants to see change and just doesn't, they just need that kick to get started.
So exciting. And as we wrap up our episode, what would you like to see from the growth of the nonprofit?
I think that our next step would hopefully be to, provide scholarships for the community, for the queer community, and maybe even eventually get to the point where we can employ queer community as well, or allies. Um, we want to give back more. We're so small. We have such a small board that hosts such a large event, and a lot of people think we're a lot bigger than we are because how big the event is. But we're at a pretty max capacity at the moment with what we can do, but hopefully we can grow in a sense to financially give back more in the future. And I think that's what I would like to see.
So good. I love that, especially the scholarships. I think a lot of people can benefit from that.
Mhm.
This is amazing. I really enjoyed this conversation, and it's always so good to see you.
It's good to see you too, especially after working, like you said in the beginning, but knowing you prior to you even being on the board and then you being on the board and assisting, we're so thankful for everything that you were able to give us, and provide for us. And hopefully you're enjoying life, in the DC area. And thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And everyone listening, thank you for listening to another episode of Love and Lattes. I'm going to drop in the show notes the links to the nonprofit and any additional resources that we can provide for you. And if you have any questions or need help or support, we're here for you. And as Meegana says, like, we see you and we love you as you are, as you want to be. And we'll see you in the next episode.
Have a good day.